to the side and just focus on what's important.
You are now, at the very least, in position through 2 sanctioning bodies to be a challenger for a world title. Are you ready for that shot?
Yes, sir.
We had a guy here again, Terence Crawford, sitting ringside watching your fight. How do you feel about a matchup right now with Terence Crawford?
Well, first of all, I told you earlier in the week that he's a little tied up right now, but if the
Vergil Ortiz stops Michael McKinson and calls out Terence Bud Crawford. What do I think of this? Well, you got to stay tuned to this video to find out. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. SLC. Subscribe, like, and comment. Now, Vergil Ortiz Jr., he just fought on DAZN. It was the main event for a Golden Boy card. A rescheduled bout with Michael McKinson. And I gotta be honest, this definitely felt dry. Like the fight week, I didn't see much promotion from Golden Boy. And I wish they really didn't reschedule the fight, because the fight was very, very predictable. I told you guys, a couple people were asking me about it on social media, that I gave Michael McKinson no chance. He's a domestic level guy, hasn't really fought anybody, definitely outside of his immediate homeland. He hasn't fought anyone world class. Vergil Ortiz Jr. is a very good fighter, up and comer, has power. And speaking of power, Michael McKinson has none. So in a match like that, where you have an overly aggressive young strapping kid like Vergil Ortiz Jr., who this fight was already supposed to happen, as I mentioned earlier, is rescheduled. He was going to have something to prove, like a chip on his shoulder, because they were supposed to fight. Different people said different things. When he pulled out the fight, he said he got ill. And, you know, even Michael McKinson made comments and things like that. Fans made comments. So I knew he was going to come out ferocious. So you look at a guy, it's a Golden Boy card. This is one of Golden Boy's last remaining guys that have some level of interest in namesake. Ryan Garcia, Zurdo, Vergil Ortiz, Jaime Munguia, right? And Michael McKinson, I just didn't see any way he was going to win it. He has no power. So what is he going to do? He's going to have to, and you would have to box the perfect fight and not make any mistakes against a fighter from Texas fighting in Texas. It just, to me, was always an uphill battle. So I wasn't really looking forward to. And like I said, they could have just scrapped this whole idea. I really need to start seeing the Vergil Ortizes and the Conor Benns on DAZN in with better competition. But even in spite of what I just said, I don't think Vergil Ortiz, this just wasn't a good fight for him to showcase his skills. He was in there with a guy with no power, who was very, very limited offensively and almost hesitant. So he was just moving around and defensive, and then occasionally launching a brief attack. Then he would get on his bike. And as soon as he slowed down or got hit with a body shot, it was like the beginning of the end. Now, fast forward to what you guys clicked on. Vergil Ortiz versus Terence Crawford. Do I think he's ready for Terence Crawford? Absolutely not. On my channel, I give you guys that raw, that uncut, that puro, that cocaína, right? That blue magic. I don't beat around the bush. I give you guys my honest assessments. There's no love lost. There's nothing personal with any fighter. I just report what I see, give you guys my intimate thoughts so you guys understand a little bit into the mind of Ego. Now, I'm not saying it can't be competitive. Anytime you got someone with power and this offensive onslaught, you know, they could be dangerous. But especially after seeing a performance with Michael McKinson, it just didn't make me a believer that this is the right time and that Vergil Ortiz Jr. is ready. Like, because if anything, tonight's performance was almost a regression, because you look at old Vergil Ortiz Jr. fights with, let's say, Mauricio Herrera, who's known to give guys like Danny Garcia and, you know, Kareem Mayfield or Ruslan Provodnikov, Herrera, Jose Benavidez. In the past, he gave a lot of guys issue and he could box well. And then Vergil Ortiz tore him up. So that being said, this fight was a little bit different. Virgil Ortiz, to me, looked a bit more one-dimensional, lacked defense, and he was just kind of coming forward and loading up on every shot and things like that. And to me, I feel like that could get it done. You know, it's kind of like Ryan Garcia, to be honest. And I'm not saying Virgil Ortiz and Ryan Garcia fight exactly alike, but power, loading up on shots, trying to have a highlight reel. Again, you could get it done at a certain level, but can Ryan Garcia do what he did to Javier Fortuna, Luke Campbell, and that level of guy? Can he do that to Devin Haney? Can he do that to Teofimo Lopez? Can he do that to, of course, Gervonta Tank Davis? And that's really the same question with another Golden Boy fighter that I have is, would Virgil Ortiz Jr., you know, be able to do that to somebody who I really rank? Because you've never heard me on my channel rank Michael McKinson and tell you that he was an up-and-comer or the welterweight to watch for. However, on my channel, what I have told you is to check for that kid from Philly, Jaron Boots Ennis. So I would love to see a fight like that. I understand rankings. I understand, you know, how that works. Terrence Crawford has the WBO, and I believe the McKinson fight was maybe a fight that solidifies Virgil Ortiz's spot as the #1 contender. And, you know, they might order the mandatory. But for me, I'm not seeing the vision at this point. Terrence Crawford still undefeated, still dangerous, still very cat-like. It just, I don't see it. There's nothing I see, and it's nothing personal. It's just I don't see what he's gonna do against a guy like Crawford, especially when he gets hit a lot. You know what I mean? It would be kind of like similar to a Crawford Mean Machine. You know, we've seen Crawford in there with some formidable punchers or guys that had some aggression. Sean Porter has some aggression, things like that. And again, if you needed a performance to prove if Virgil Ortiz was ready, Ortiz Jr. was ready for Crawford, I don't believe the stylistic matchup and the display that we've seen in the McKinson fight would have been the one that sold you. You know what I'm saying? There's just other Virgil Ortiz performances where if that was his most recent performance, maybe you say, oh, okay, just because the performance was an annihilation. But this was like a kind of a slow burn type of fight. McKinson wasn't doing anything really special, especially offensively. And, you know, Virgil Ortiz was landing some hard shots, and it took round after round after round for him to break it down. And like I said, he was loading up a lot on the shots, things of that sort. So I didn't personally see it. And in addition to that, I want to see Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. I think that's the ready-made fight. I think that's the fight that fans need to see. For me, I think it would be great to see Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford finally get one unified, undisputed welterweight boxing champion of the world, right? Because in my view, I feel like Crawford and Errol Spence are in a different generation than some of the younger fighters. So I would prefer that generation, since Errol Spence is probably 30-something, Crawford's 30-something, 34, 35, whatever age. They're in the 30-plus club. This is unfinished business. People have been wanting for decades. Well, I can't say decades, but years to see Errol Spence versus Crawford. They're within the same kind of generation. So I want to see them fight. And then as far as the young guns, Conor Benn, you know, guys like Jaron Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz Jr., you know, maybe even like Stanionis or somebody like that. Any of those guys that kind of fall within that category, Cody Crowley, and them do like kind of like a Super Six. I think that would be dope. And especially if it culminated with Conor Benn, Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz Jr. And I think boxing is really, I could go deeper, but it's in a weird spot where people want to rush the process. Like back in the day, you used to really groom champion, like groom through the levels. Like you went from journeyman to prospect to contenders to you're ready for a title. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like people, they feel like they could get their bars up or their social media following up or get praised heavily by the networks and the platform and the promoter, and then they're ready for it. But again, I understand how rankings work. So if they order it, you know, make the fight Terrence Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz, I'm definitely not worried for Crawford's sake. in that matchup because I think skills pay the bills and also experience would be a big part. And Crawford, when Vergil Ortiz knocked out Maurice Hooker, he was asked about, he said, hey, Vergil Ortiz wants you. And he said, he don't want me. So let me know what you guys think. SLC, subscribe, like, and comment. Do you guys agree with me, disagree? Would Vergil Ortiz beat Crawford right now if they were to fight? Let me know. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.